Let me ask you something real for a moment. Have you ever been lying next to a man after intimacy, staring at the ceiling or maybe at him, wondering what is actually going through his head right now? He looks calm, maybe even quiet, but you know there's something behind those eyes. It's like he's in his own little world and you're left guessing. Most women think men are simple creatures that once the act is over, their mind is blank, like they've just powered down. But let me tell you, that's not true at all. In fact, those few minutes right after finishing are some of the most revealing moments in a man's psychology. Because here's the secret: men are noticing things. They are paying attention. They are having reactions that they'll almost never put into words. Not because they don't care, but because admitting those thoughts would make them feel vulnerable, exposed, or even insecure. And as you know, most guys are not running around eager to say, hey, I feel a little vulnerable right now. But if you want to truly understand men, if you want to know what makes him not just attracted to you, but emotionally connected, obsessed even, you have to know what's happening in those silent in-between moments, because those are the moments that reveal who he is, what he values, and most importantly, how he feels about you. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 things men notice after they finish but never admit. And when you understand these 5 things, you'll never be left guessing again. You'll know exactly what's happening in his head and how to use it to deepen your connection with him. The very first thing a man notices after he finishes is you. Your reaction, your energy, your body language. He may act relaxed, like he's just drifting off into space. But trust me, his mind is scanning, observing, and taking it all in. He's not going to ask you directly, hey, how was that? Did I make you feel good? Because most men don't want to risk hearing an answer that might bruise their ego. But instead, he's watching, he's looking at your face, the way you breathe, the way you move, whether you curl into him or away from him, whether you smile, laugh, or go quiet. In those little moments, he gets all the information he needs, and it matters way more than you might think. Here's the thing: men tie a huge part of their confidence, their sense of pride, even to how they believe they've made you feel. And while he may never admit it, your reaction is like a silent review of his performance. If you look satisfied, calm, connected, he feels like a king. He feels like he's done something right, something meaningful. But if you look distant, distracted, or like you're already in your own head planning tomorrow's to-do list, that hits him harder than you'll ever know. A man may never say this out loud, but he is constantly measuring, did I make her happy? Did she enjoy herself? Does she feel closer to me now or further away? And because he won't ask, he relies on those subtle cues, the sigh of relief, the softness in your body, the playful glance. It all tells him what words never will. Now, here's the deeper layer. Most women don't realize your reaction doesn't just tell him how good the moment was physically, it tells him how much you trust him. Think about it. If you're tense afterwards, or if you pull away, he may interpret that as, she's not comfortable with me. She doesn't feel safe here. But when you relax, when you let yourself sink into that moment, when you give him your warmth instead of retreating, that signals to him that this wasn't just physical, it was emotional. And men crave that emotional validation far more than they let on. What's funny is that sometimes you might think you're not reacting in a way that matters. Maybe you're just tired, maybe you're lost in thought, maybe you're simply neutral. But to him, silence or withdrawal feels like disapproval. He doesn't hear, she's just sleepy. He hears, I didn't do enough, she's not satisfied. That's how sensitive men are in those little windows after intimacy. And the truth is, most women underestimate how much influence they have in shaping what a man feels about himself in those moments. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you want to deepen the connection, your reaction afterwards is one of your most powerful tools. You don't need to give him a performance or fake anything. What matters is being present. If you enjoyed the moment, let yourself show it. Smile at him, pull him closer, whisper something sweet or playful. Even just placing your hand on his chest and exhaling in contentment says more than words ever could. Because what men want deep down isn't just sex, it's significance. They want to feel like they've given you something that mattered, that left you satisfied not just in your body, but in your heart. And whether or not they admit it, your reaction is the mirror that reflects that back to them. If you give him that reassurance, even in the simplest ways, he won't just feel good. He'll feel connected, bonded, and drawn even closer to you the next time. So remember, ladies, after it's all over, the real magic isn't just in what he did, it's in how you respond. Your reaction is the unsaid truth he notices, and it can be the difference between a forgettable night and a lasting impression. One of the most underrated things men notice after they finish is the silence. And when I say silence, I don't just mean the absence of sound, I mean the atmosphere, the energy that fills the room when everything slows down. For men, that silence can be powerful, and they notice exactly how you handle it, even if they'll never admit it. You see, silence after intimacy is not really empty. It's loaded with meaning. It's like those quiet moments after a movie ends. You're sitting there with the credits rolling, and what happens next defines how you actually felt about the whole experience. Do you turn to the person next to you and smile? Do you get up immediately and walk out? Do you sit there in reflection? That's what silence after sex feels like for a man. He's tuned into what that silence says about you, about him, and about the connection you share. If you roll over, grab your phone, or pull away into your own world, he notices. He won't say, "That silence hurt me," but inside, he feels the distance. To him, it's a signal that maybe it was just physical for you, that it didn't mean as much, or that you're already moving on mentally. And while he may act unfazed, it leaves a quiet mark on him. On the other hand, if you stay present in that silence, if you curl into him, rest your head on his chest, or simply breathe with him, it's like music to his soul. That silence becomes comfort, not emptiness. It becomes intimacy, not distance. It reassures him that the experience wasn't just about release, it was about connection. And that's something men crave far more than they admit. The funny thing is, many women underestimate the weight of this moment because they think intimacy ends with the physical act. But for men, the silence is almost like a test. It's where they feel your real answer, not the words you say, but the presence you give. Did she stay? Did she relax? Did she lean in instead of away? These things matter. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Silence after intimacy can either bond you or break you. For a man, if the silence is filled with warmth, he associates you with safety and comfort, and that draws him closer over time. If the silence feels cold, rushed, or awkward, he'll interpret it as a lack of connection. And when a man feels disconnected, he won't chase deeper intimacy, he'll just retreat into himself. It's not about filling the silence with words, by the way. Sometimes women think, "Oh, I should say something, I should compliment him, I should keep the moment alive with conversation." But men don't need chatter in that moment. What they want is presence, a smile, a touch, a simple gesture that says, "I'm here, I'm with you." That's what makes the silence meaningful instead of heavy. So if you want to stand out in his mind, don't underestimate those quiet minutes after. That's where your real power lies. That's where you show him whether you're just another person who shared his bed or the woman who makes him feel seen, accepted, and understood without saying a word. The silence might seem small, but to him, it's everything. It's where he notices if this was just sex or if it was something more. And believe me, that difference is the one thing he'll carry with him long after the moment has passed. Another thing men notice right after finishing, and they will never say this out loud, is how you treat them afterwards. This is a huge one because in that moment, men are actually at their most vulnerable. He might not look it because on the outside, he may seem relaxed, confident, even detached. But beneath that, he's paying attention to whether you still show him warmth or whether your energy suddenly changes. Think about it. During intimacy, there's passion, closeness, intensity. But once it's over, the question that immediately arises in his subconscious is, does she still want me now? This is why so many men notice every little thing after. Do you turn your back on him? Do you get up quickly to go clean up? Do you reach for your phone? Or do you stay close, touch him, kiss him, keep the intimacy alive beyond the physical act? Here's the part most women don't realize. Men tie their sense of worth in that moment to whether they feel accepted and desired afterwards. A man may be dominant and playful in the act, but the second it's over, his guard comes down. He feels exposed, and how you treat him in that vulnerable state can either make him feel cherished or make him feel discarded. If you become colder, distant, or less affectionate, he notices. He won't necessarily say anything, but in his head, it plants a seed of insecurity. It makes him question, was this just physical for her? Is she not attracted to me anymore? Did I disappoint her somehow? And those thoughts, even if they go unspoken, affect how safe he feels opening up to you again. On the flip side, when you show him the same warmth you did before, when you laugh with him, stroke his arm, play with his hair, or simply stay connected, It makes him feel wanted beyond the physical. That's when a man feels emotionally safe with you. That's when he thinks, she doesn't just like the act, she likes me. And that difference is massive. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't that obvious? Of course, he knows I like him. Not always. Men are far less confident than they appear, especially after intimacy. They're not walking around saying, I need reassurance right now, but deep down they crave it. They want to know they're not just a body, not just a temporary thrill, but someone you genuinely desire and value, even in the calm that follows. And let me tell you something powerful: when you treat a man with care, playfulness, and softness afterwards, you separate yourself from everyone else. Because most women don't realize that these tiny actions build intimacy faster than anything else. It's not about grand gestures, it's about consistency. When he knows that after every intimate moment, you're going to treat him with the same affection you always do, it builds trust. And trust is what keeps him coming back, not just for your body, but for your presence. So ask yourself, how do you usually treat him afterwards? Do you withdraw, thinking it doesn't matter? Or do you stay engaged, making him feel secure, wanted, and valued? Because I promise you, that answer will decide whether he feels like this is just sex or something much more meaningful. The truth is, men notice everything in those quiet transitions. Even when they don't say a word, they notice if the energy shifts. They notice if your affection drops. And they notice if you treat them as if the connection ends the second the act is over. But when you're the woman who keeps the warmth alive, who makes him feel safe even in his most unguarded moments, you become unforgettable. You become the woman he wants to hold on to long after the passion fades. Another thing men notice after they finish, but they'll almost never say it, is whether you're confident in yourself or self-conscious. Now, I don't just mean during intimacy. I mean right after, in those quiet minutes when you're both exposed, when there's no distraction, no build-up, no mystery, just the two of you raw and real. That's when he sees the truth. Here's what most women don't realize: men are incredibly perceptive in these moments. They notice the little things you do. If you rush to cover yourself with a blanket, if you immediately grab your clothes and start dressing, if you avoid eye contact or hide your body, he picks up on all of that. He might not comment on it, but he registers it. And whether he admits it or not, it changes how he feels in that moment. Now, here's the twist. It's not your body that makes the biggest impact. It's your energy. Men aren't lying there after intimacy thinking, her thighs are this, her stomach is that. That's not what makes an impression. What he remembers, what sticks in his head, is how you carried yourself. Were you comfortable being seen? Did you allow yourself to be playful, to laugh, to stay relaxed? Or did you shrink, retreat, and pull away? Confidence in those moments is magnetic. When you're unashamed of who you are, when you own your presence instead of apologizing for it, makes you unforgettable. And here's the best part: confidence isn't about perfection. It's not about having the ideal body. It's about allowing yourself to be comfortable in your skin, to show him that you accept yourself. Because when you accept yourself, he accepts you even more. But when you're self-conscious, when you act like you're hiding from him, it sends a silent signal that you're not fully comfortable with him either. And whether he realizes it consciously or not, that creates distance. It makes him wonder if you trust him, if you feel safe with him, if you even enjoy being with him as much as he enjoys being with you. Men don't need you to be flawless. They need you to be present. Want the woman who doesn't rush to hide, but instead smiles, teases, maybe kisses him again. That kind of energy tells him, I'm not just here physically, I'm here emotionally. I feel safe, I feel desired, and I desire you too. That's the moment that makes a man feel like he's with someone extraordinary. Think about it this way. Imagine two different scenarios. In the first, the second it's over, you grab the sheets and wrap yourself up tight, maybe even get out of bed right away. In the second, you stay close, comfortable, unashamed, maybe even lying there with a little smirk on your face. Which woman do you think he can't stop thinking about later? The one who acted like she wanted to disappear, or the one who looked like she was perfectly at home being with him? It's not about performance, it's about presence. Men remember how you made them feel, not whether you looked like a Photoshop magazine cover. And when you radiate self-assurance in those moments, you make him feel chosen, special, lucky. That's what keeps him hooked. So yes, men absolutely notice if you're confident or self-conscious afterwards. They won't admit it. They may not even know how to put it into words, but it shapes the way they see you. And the woman who owns her presence, who lets herself be seen, who isn't afraid to linger in the vulnerability. That's the woman who lingers in his mind long after the moment ends. The final thing men notice after they finish, but will rarely, if ever, admit is whether there's more to this than just sex. And this one is big, because in those moments right after, when the passion fades into quiet, that's when the deeper truth reveals itself. Here's what I mean once the physical side is over. All that's left is the emotional connection. Men notice very quickly whether you're someone they just shared an experience with, or whether you're someone they feel genuinely bonded to. And the funny part is they don't consciously sit there analyzing it. They just feel it. They notice if you talk to them afterwards, if you laugh, if you make them feel like this was about more than the act itself. They notice if you stay present, curious, and affectionate instead of retreating into silence or distraction. And they notice if the intimacy extends beyond the bedroom, because that's the difference between an encounter that's forgettable and an experience that changes them. For men, this realization usually comes in very subtle ways. Maybe you reach for his hand. Maybe you ask him something personal, not heavy, but real. Maybe you share a playful moment, a little joke, or even a comfortable silence that feels safe rather than awkward. All of these tiny details whisper to him, this is more than just physical. And when a man feels that, you shift from being just another person he slept with, being someone who leaves a mark on his heart. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. A man may not admit it, but in those moments after sex, he often craves something deeper. He's asking himself, again, not out loud, but silently, do I feel closer to her right now, or do I feel exactly the same? If the answer is closer, he'll keep wanting you, not just in his bed, but in his life. If the answer is the same or worse, if he feels more distant, that's when he starts to quietly disconnect. And ladies, let me stress this. It's not about doing something grand. You don't need to pour your heart out or have some deep conversation about the meaning of life. What makes the difference is authenticity. If you can bring your natural warmth, your playfulness, your curiosity into that post-intimacy moment, he will notice it. He'll feel it. And he'll start associating you with more than just physical satisfaction. He'll associate you with comfort, with joy, with a sense of belonging. On the other hand, if all he feels is emptiness afterwards, if you roll away, go cold, or give off an energy that says, that's it, we're done, he notices that too. And while he might not complain or call it out, it makes him less invested over time. Because whether men admit it or not, what they want deep down is not just sex, it's significance. They want to feel like they matter, like being with you means something beyond the physical. So what he notices in that quiet aftermath is whether you're someone who makes him feel safe, valued, and seen, or whether this was just another physical experience. And the truth is, the women who men can't get out of their heads, the ones who keep them coming back, are the women who give them more than just sex. They give them connection, they give them presence, they give them moments that touch not just the body, but the heart. That's what men notice, and that's why they remember you. So here's the truth: men might act like they switch off the second it's over, but that couldn't be further from reality. They notice more than they'll ever admit. They notice your reaction, they notice the silence, they notice how you treat them afterwards, they notice whether you're confident or self-conscious, and most of all, they notice whether there's something deeper here than just sex. And these 5 things, they're not just little details, they're the things that decide whether he sees this as a moment or a memory, whether he forgets it the next day, or whether he keeps replaying it in his mind. Here's the part I want you to really take away. Intimacy isn't just about what happens during the act. It's about the connection before, during, and especially after, because those quiet minutes afterwards are where his walls come down, where his insecurities rise up, and where his heart is either pulled closer to you or pushed further away. So don't underestimate your power in those moments. Your presence, your warmth, your confidence, your playfulness, that's what makes you unforgettable. That's what makes him crave not just your body, but you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever wondered what a guy is really thinking in those quiet moments after intimacy? Or maybe you've noticed how his energy shifts afterwards. Share your thoughts and stories in the comments. I read every single one, and if you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more insights into love and relationships, and share this with a friend who might need to hear it. Remember, the goal isn't just to be unforgettable in the bedroom. It's to be unforgettable in his heart.